Hey film friends, I'm Nick Furman. This is Furman on Film. Welcome to the channel. Hey, smile guys. Science is fun, right? This is Lee Isaac Chung's Twisters. 28 years, and we finally have a sequel to that Helen Hunt, Bill Paxton, mid-90s miracle Twister. Let's just drink it in for a second. You know, it's hard to talk about themes much in this one. I mean, there's definitely an exploration of survivor's guilt and trauma, and Chung even wants to have us think about things like gentrification and nasty real estate moguls. But I think the real gold is in talking about structure, because this film is set up like a very traditional 90s blockbuster. See, the original Twister kicked off a massive wave of natural disaster flicks. Most were mediocre to poor, but they usually had big A-list names and were super watchable and visually thrilling. So Twisters is smart to step back into that lineage, but it's also doing a lot of other clever things. It recycles elements from the original, but smartly morphs and twists them into a whole new story. The cold open is sick and chilling, reminiscent of the original, but much more daring. We have a British reporter who is basically Jamie Gertz in the first film, the straight man who is the fish out of water. Glenn Powell comes riding in like Carrie Elwes, watching Daisy Edgar-Jones and then following her lead. But then things change. Who the quote good guys and the bad guys are begins to blur. Who the high-powered corporate folks are out for self-gain and who the ragtag bunch who just want to chase storms and help comes under examination. And because of all this playing with familiar elements and guiding the story in exciting new directions, this sequel actually gets deeper than the original in some ways. The stakes are raised. These storms are far more destructive. The body count goes higher. Yet counterbalancing the disaster and terror is a rom-com like we just don't see anymore. Glenn Powell and Daisy Edgar-Jones are basically just doing 30s and 40s screwball films. You know, the opposites attract, the I have such disdain for this person I can't stand them until I can't stay away from them playbook that we learned from Katharine Hepburn and Spencer Tracy, Clark Gable and Claudette Colbert. And then, in the theater sequence, this film goes one better by tipping off to us what we were watching all along. A monster movie. And when you do that, then like right here's the original Frankenstein poster at the old Universal, because that's literally what's showing on the screen. All right, you throw all these elements together, romantic comedy, screwball, disaster set pieces, and crazy characters, you get a pretty impressive product. At the end of the day, Twisters works because of two things. Chemistry between the two leads, especially Powell's charisma hovering somewhere up in the stratosphere, and impressive and well-researched direction from Lee Isaac Chung that creates great practical effects and enough CGI for a bunch of believable storms. You know, I could act like I write for The New Yorker and criticize the fact that this film wants to moralize about saving people on the path of storms, while entirely sidestepping the issue of global warming actively causing this spate of tornadoes in the first place. Not to mention the fact that developing technology and a method to actually stop developing storms would help way more people in the long run. But come on, anyone who gets all bent out of shape about that stuff just never watched the original and has no understanding of what I've just said about 90s blockbusters and disaster flicks and just what these types of movies are. Still, guys, I'm now going to contradict myself and come off like a bit of a Debbie Downer. The more you think about the plot of this movie, the more nonsensical it becomes. At the end of the day, we have to judge the coherence of a film based on its own internal logic. And Twisters presents itself not like a documentary, but like a film where real people are chasing real scary storms that do harm and wreck communities. Given this fact, there's a pretty large flaw in the way all of these things play out. Here's the long and the short of it. Ready? It's not 1996 anymore. Do you know how much better we've gotten with advanced warning systems for storms? Especially in a place like Tornado Alley. I'm sorry, that rodeo tornado? I'm not buying it. They be tracking that storm hours out. Rain check on the bull riding. Honestly, the whole final 30 minutes of the film, which is an awesome set piece, strains credulity. Not because people are clutching chairs at the movies, but because those people aren't outside playing baseball, they're not in the theater in the first place. This is Oklahoma today. These smart folks are taking cover or skipping town. I'm sure homes are devastatingly destroyed, but people aren't just hanging around waiting to fly into storms like cows in the original. A couple other minor things. A few of the key players, their actions seem out of keeping with how their characters are initially presented to us. For instance, so the doomsday mogul that's gonna flip houses, what is Javi's ultimate plan? How is that money gonna get to him and be enough to finance this awesome new government tech? I don't know. I'll just leave it at that. Finally, yeah, I mentioned the way the writers sort of wove a new story out of all these old elements from Twister. That's the positive way to look at it. The other is to say that the film's constituent parts, survivor's trauma for the key heroine and rom-com vibes, is, pretty noticeably derivative. But I'll leave it up to you to decide how you feel about all that. So, what do we conclude? Twisters is every bit the silly popcorn blockbuster its predecessor was, but it's also really damned entertaining, with a nice blend of charismatic leads and pretty sturdy direction from Lee Isaac Chung. Glenn Powell is the Hollywood movie star we all thought he could be after Top Gun Maverick, and Daisy Edgar-Jones shares the limelight with him nicely. It's a film that plays with the plot beats of the original, yet retains every bit of that movie's fun 90s energy, leaving us with a storm-chasing ride almost guaranteed to thrill fans of the original and make some new converts along the way. Well, there you have it. The only thing left to discuss is our rating for this picture. FOF gives Twisters 3.9 out of 5 stars. If you enjoyed this review, please let us know by giving us a thumbs up and subscribing to the channel. Also, don't forget to visit FurmanOnFilm.com for even more movie content. Thanks for watching. I'm Nick Furman. This is Furman on Film. Stay firm, my friends. Can you see my hair blowing? Huh? All right, just do it now.